Let all the forest's nestlings. This story was told by the master while at Jataka Monastery, about a brother monk who drank water without straining it. Tradition says that two young brothers who were friends went from Shravasti city into the country, and took up their dwelling in a pleasant spot. After staying here as long as they wanted, they departed and set out for Jataka Monastery in order to see the perfect Buddha. One of them carried a strainer, the other had none, so both of them used the same strainer before drinking. One day they fell out. The owner of the strainer did not lend it to his companion, but strained and drank alone by himself. As the other was not allowed the strainer, and as he could not endure his thirst, he drank water without straining it. In due course both reached Jataka Monastery and with respectful salutation to the master took their seats. After friendly words of greeting, he asked from where they had come. "Sir," said they, "we have been living in a village in the Kosala country, from where we have come in order to see you." "I trust you have arrived as good friends as you started," said the brother monk without a strainer. "Sir, he fell out with me on the road and would not lend me his strainer," said the other. "Sir, he didn't strain his water, but wittingly drank it down with all the living things it contained." "Is this report true, brother monk, that you willingly drank off water with all the living things it contained?" "Yes, sir, I did drink unstrained water," was the reply. Brother monk, the wise and good of past days, when flying in defeat along the deep in the days of their power to govern over the city of the Devas angels, thought contempt to kill living creatures in order to secure power for themselves. Rather, they turned their chariot back, sacrificing great glory in order to save the lives of the young of the Garulas. And, so saying, he told this story of the past. Once upon a time there was a king of Magadha reigning at Rajgraya city in the Lord of Magadha. And just as he who is now Saka Indra came to life in his preceding birth in the village of Makala in the land of Magadha, even so was it in the same village that the Bodhisattva came to life in those days as a young noble. When the day for his naming came, he was named Prince Marga, but when he grew up, it was as Marga the young Brahmin that he was known. His parents took a wife for him from a family of equal rank with their own, and he, with a family of sons and daughters growing up round him, excelled in charity, and kept the 5 commandments. In that village there were just 30 families, and one day the men were standing in the middle of the village transacting the affairs of the village. The Bodhisattva had kicked aside the dust from where he was standing, and was standing there in comfort, when up came another and took his stand there. Then the Bodhisattva made himself another comfortable standing place, only to have it taken from him like the first. Again and again the Bodhisattva began afresh until he had made comfortable standing places for every man there. Another time he put up a pavilion, which later on he pulled down, building a hall with benches and a jar of water inside. Another time these 30 men were led by the Bodhisattva to become like-minded with himself. He established them in the 5 commandments, and from then on used to go about with them doing good works. And they too, doing good works, always in the Bodhisattva's company, used to get up early and swiftly move on, with razors and axes and clubs in their hands. With their clubs they used to roll out of the way all stones that lay on the 4 highways and other roads of the village, the trees that would strike against the axles of chariots, they cut down, rough places they made smooth, causeways they built, dug water tanks, and built a hall. They explained charity and kept the commandments. In this wise did the body of the villagers generally abide by the Bodhisattva's teachings and keep the commandments. Thought the village headman to himself, when these men used to get drunk and commit murders and so on, I used to make a lot of money out of them, not only on the price of their drinks but also by the fines and dues they paid. But now here's this young Brahmin Marga bent on making them keep the commandments. He is putting a stop to murders and other crime. And in his rage he cried, "I'll make them keep the 5 commandments." And he went to the king, saying, "Sire, there is a band of robbers going about sacking villages and committing other villainies." When the king heard this, he asked the headman to go and bring the men before him. And away went the man and hauled up as prisoners before the king every one of those 30 men, representing them to be the rascals. Without inquiry into their doings, the king commanded rudely that they should be trampled to death by the elephant. Then they made them lie down in the king's courtyard and sent for the elephant. The Bodhisattva encouraged them, saying, "Bear in mind the commandments, love the slanderer, the king and the elephant as yourselves." And they did so. Then the elephant was brought in to trample them to death. Yet lead him as they might, he would not approach them, but fled away trumpeting loudly. Elephant after elephant was brought up, but they all fled away like the first. Thinking that the men must have some drug about their persons, the king ordered them to be searched. Search was made accordingly, but nothing was found, and so they told the king. "Then they must be muttering some spell," said the king. "Ask them whether they have got a spell to mutter." The question being put to them, the Bodhisattva said they had got a spell. And this the king's people told his majesty. So the king had them all summoned to his presence and said, "Tell me your spell." The Bodhisattva made answer, "Sire, we have no other spell than this, that not a man among the whole 30 of us destroys life, or takes what is not given, or misconducts sexually, or lies. We drink no strong drink, we exceed in loving kindness, we show charity, we level the roads, dig tanks, and build a public hall. This is our spell, our safeguard, and our strength."